Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Monday, March 11th, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the executive minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ+ community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, the Minister of Connections. This is live, and then we are available on demand. We are available on all smart televisions and your favorite social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. American evangelicals have helped Ghana get up to 10 years in prison for saying, quote, "You're gay." What's going on? In a recent development, Ghana's parliament passed one of the world's most severe anti-LGBTQ+ bills, sparking international concern and condemnation. The bill includes harsh penalties where funding an LGBTQ+ organization carries a potential penalty of 5 years imprisonment, while engaging in LGBTQ advocacy involving children could lead to a harsher punishment of a 10-year prison sentence. This law has brought a lethal side of conservatism into the picture, where journalists and nonprofit organizations have talked about the influence of American evangelical groups in shaping these anti-LGBTQ+ legislations across Africa. Last year, Nigerian journalist Caleb Okereke highlighted the role of white American religious organizations in bolstering anti-gay sentiment on the continent. Despite condemnation from the White House, organizations like Family Watch International, based in Arizona and led by founder Sharon Slater, have faced accusations of promoting homophobic legislations in countries like Uganda, Kenya, and Ghana. While the group denies these allegations, its advocacy against LGBTQ+ education and rights align with its mission to protect what it deems as, quote, natural family, end quote. These efforts are not isolated incidents. American conservative groups have a history of policy advocacy in Africa, including the World Congress of Families. The question here is, are conservative Christian organizations in America using faith as a tool for kickstarting a new form of domination where only one ideology rules: conservative evangelicalism? Yes. And for me, this is like colonization 2.0. And I think that, we've seen this at work for a very long time. Yeah. This is not new. We see it even closer here at home, oftentimes in the Caribbean, with some of the work we've done in some of those places. And it just reminds me that we still have A, work to do, and B, I'm not surprised still at the influence that these American conservative groups have outside, or even inside America, as far as that goes, to influence legislation like this. I think they need to be put on a watch list. They're not functioning, I think, in an appropriate manner to say we're doing what's best for the country. We are promoting our ideology in a place that really should be determined their own ideology, and let their policy and let their people govern how they feel about these types of issues in their country.
Do you know the horribly abusive parents? If you've ever known about, they're just, their children's lives are complete torture. And when people come in to try to advocate for the children or save the children, the first response is, "These are my children. It's none of your business. These are my children. I know what's best for them. You don't tell me how to raise my children." As if these children aren't humans, as if these children don't have feelings and thoughts and memories and rights. And that's what countries sometimes do when you challenge them on how they treat certain aspects of their country. Who are you to tell us how to run our country? Well, normally, yes, our countries are autonomous, and anybody can come in and tell you what to do. Except these homophobic countries are doing what previous generations of colonizers told them to do. And they are not recognizing the humanity of people that are suffering because of what they say they have a cultural right to do. But their ancient cultures were not necessarily homophobic. Some of them even had special places for queer people. So I don't, I don't want to be chased off with the, you don't tell me whether or not I can beat my kids. Well, I'm going to tell you whether or not you can torture your queers. And I'm coming firmly on the side of no, don't do it. European nations used the church to colonize most of the world. And now church is using nations to colonize minds and bodies. But it's the same conquest mentality. The church is exporting hate, and lives are in peril because of it. And every church group and every church member who has supported the homophobic and transphobic theologies that have morphed into life-threatening and liberty-denying laws owes every damaged life and family an apology. And they need to stop pretending that their hatred is a divine mandate. Well, what?
One more quick thing.
Oh, probably 2, 3 more things.
Well, yeah. As I'm listening to the conversation about colonialization and everything, I always go back to why go through the energy? Why do this? And I think it goes beyond controlling minds and bodies. It goes to controlling the natural resources that are in a continent. The African continent doesn't need help from anybody anywhere in the world to do anything. Everything that we need, from energy to you name it, the African continent has it. And that's the reason
Diamonds, iron, jewels.
Jewels, De Beers. That's the reason that most outside nations go to this continent. They don't go with the thought, well, we need to do something great for the people there. No, we need to control the people there so that we can take all of the resources that they have at the lowest price possible and bring it to our countries. So it's not just about controlling minds and bodies. It's about controlling real estate.
The 3 Gs. It was always the 3 Gs. God, glory, and gold.
There you go. And it never changes.
That when the conquistadors came to the Americas, it was for God, glory, and gold. To build the empire, to export Catholicism, and to take natural resources.
Absolutely.
God, glory, and gold.
Very interesting. I'm just, what I know about this is that these groups, these people are trying to spew hate. They're trying to spew hate. And it's not working quite as well as maybe it should be here in the United States, in America. Yes, it's working, and we're constantly working against that. But if it's not working here, we got to take it somewhere else. And unfortunately, these countries are the unlucky recipients of that spewing of hate.
I'm just mindful about how many people travel back to Africa to understand their roots versus how these groups are going back to change roots or attempt to change the roots in a way that's not necessarily healthy. And so I just hope that, those continents will be reminded of who they really are and that they are the ones that get to say in the final end.
Interesting point, yeah.
Well, this is the Queer God Squad. And our director has a question for us. Speaking of being colonized, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
The victims of colonization, and that's not just in that situation. I mean, even here, I've seen organizations where women sort of rose to power in the company, maybe even took it over, basically, maybe even started it from scratch, and it just thrives. And their model. Who's doing it looks different, but the model is no different. It's still the male model that women protect. Not everywhere, obviously, not all the time, but sometimes. And okay, for a pendulum swing, maybe you feel like you got to do that for a minute, but if it wasn't a good system, it's still not a good system just because different people aren't, what I mean? So if we're hurt and we act out of our hurt, we're going to hurt others. There's no getting around it. I mean, we're going to do it, but we also need to see that as soon as possible and make some course corrections. There's the question, here we are, the Queer God Squad. So there's always the question, what would Jesus think about it? What would Jesus do about it? What would Jesus want out of it? And probably not all of this meanness and cruelty and dehumanization.
You're right.
Yep.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBT community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. And we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.